in the world did I just sit through? What did I just witness? I'm pretty sure I just had years shaved off the back end of my life. What a tough, ugly watch this game was, and on top of it, they lost. They lost.
What in the world did I just sit through? That Indiana Fever versus Los Angeles Sparks game on Saturday night was an absolute gut punch, a grueling spectacle that felt like it shaved years off my life. The final score, 89-87 in favor of the Sparks, doesn't even begin to capture the chaos, frustration, and outright incompetence that defined this game. What should have been a straightforward win for the Fever against one of the WNBA's weakest teams turned into a masterclass in refereeing failure, exposing the deep-rooted issues plaguing the league's officiating. This wasn't just a bad night for the refs. It was a glaring display of systematic bias that not only cost the Fever a winnable game, but also raised serious questions about player safety and competitive fairness in the WNBA. From the opening tip, the game felt off.
Now here's the one thing with that last play that I'm speaking about. It seemed like they called it a loose ball foul at first, which would have been favorable for us because we have them in the bonus. Yeah, we were in the bonus with 5.5 minutes left to go. First time all season, I was shocked. We grabbed the rebound. Looked like they called it a loose ball foul. Yes, we could go to the free throw line. Oh, they changed it, reset.
The Indiana Fever, playing at home in Indianapolis, were expected to handle the struggling Sparks, who entered the contest with a dismal 5-13 record, making them the second worst team in the league. The Fever, despite missing their superstar rookie Caitlyn Clark due to a groin injury, had the talent and momentum to dominate. Aaliyah Boston, Natasha Howard, and Sophie Cunningham were ready to carry the load, and the team's recent Commissioner's Cup victory had fans believing this squad could make a statement. Instead, what unfolded was a maddening combination of missed opportunities, questionable shot selection, and referee decisions that seemed designed to tilt the game against the Fever. Let's start with the officiating, because it's impossible to discuss this game without addressing the refs' catastrophic performance. The most egregious moment came in the first quarter, when Sophie Cunningham, the Fever's tough-as-nails enforcer, dove for a loose ball in a 50-50 challenge. What should have been a routine hustle play turned into something far uglier. Julie Vanloo of the Sparks grabbed Cunningham around the neck and face, a blatant and dangerous act of contact that had no place in a basketball game.
The LA Sparks just got the spark versus the Fever for some reason, man. But the Sparks always have matched up well with the Fever since last season, man. Tough ending for the Fever girls. Just some missed free throws, some questionable shots. Could have got it, man. Close game. I ain't even mad. The intensity is there, man. This team, if they can keep up this intensity, is going to be real nice when Caitlyn Clark gets...
Footage is undeniable. Cunningham was essentially tackled to the ground, her face grabbed in a way that could have caused serious injury. Any competent referee would have blown the whistle immediately, called a foul, and potentially reviewed it for a flagrant. Instead, the officials called it a jump ball, as if violent contact to a player's face and neck is just part of the game. The arena erupted in disbelief, and even the broadcasters couldn't hide their confusion, stammering through their attempts to make sense of the non-call. This wasn't an isolated incident, it was part of a pattern. Later in the game, Colson of the Sparks made a textbook defensive play, cleanly blocking a shot by Rakia Jackson with only her hands touching the ball. The refs, however, were quick to blow the whistle, calling a foul on Colson. The call was so obviously wrong that it forced the Fever to use a challenge, and it took nearly 5 minutes of review at the monitor for the officials to overturn their mistake. 5 minutes. For a play that was clearly legal from the moment it happened. The contrast is infuriating. Cunningham gets her face grabbed, and the refs act like they're watching a different game. Colson makes a clean block, and they're ready to penalize her faster than you can blink. This selective enforcement isn't just incompetence. It's a double standard that puts players at risk and undermines the integrity of the game. The officiating woes didn't stop there. In the final minutes, with the Fever in the bonus and fighting to stay in the game, a loose ball situation looked like it would result in a foul call in their favor. The initial call was a loose ball foul, which would have sent the Fever to the free throw line, a critical opportunity in a tight game. But after another lengthy review, the refs reversed their decision, resetting the possession and robbing the Fever of a chance to tie or take the lead. The inconsistency was mind-boggling, and it left the Fever players and coaching staff visibly frustrated. Coach Stephanie White, who has been fined multiple times this season for calling out officiating biases, could barely contain her exasperation post-game. "We have to be more disciplined," she said. but it was clear her words were aimed as much at the refs as at her team.
And the referees, let's just blame the referees and say, hey, but you called a loose ball foul. This was a game that we should have won. Again. And a game that we lost, unfortunately. 89-87, Los Angeles Sparks defeat the...
A disaster. This was a disaster. The Indiana Fever cannot keep losing to teams like the LA Sparks if they're supposed to be a good team. And Rakia Jackson, she just flat abused the Fever in the last 3 minutes of the game. Seriously, what?
The Fever shouldn't have to play perfect basketball to overcome both their opponents and the officials. The officiating issues overshadowed what was otherwise a hard-fought game. Aaliyah Boston was a force in the paint, dropping 23 points and grabbing 12 rebounds, showcasing why she's one of the league's brightest young stars. Natasha Howard was equally impressive, shooting 8 of 11 from the field for 21 points, adding 9 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 blocks, and a steal. Their performances kept the Fever in the game, even as they battled without Clark, whose absence was glaring. The Fever's offense, usually sparked by Clark's playmaking and scoring, looked disjointed at times, particularly in the final minute when they missed their last 5 shots, including 4 under pressure. The team's 14 turnovers didn't help, with Howard accounting for 4 of them, but it's hard to fault the players when they're fighting an uphill battle against both the Sparks and the refs. On the Sparks side, Sydney Colson was a standout, proving why she's a fan favorite. She finished with 6 points, 5 assists, 2 rebounds, and that controversial block that should have been celebrated, not scrutinized. Shooting 2 of 3 from beyond the arc, Colson played with confidence and intelligence, stepping up in key moments. Rakia Jackson also made her presence felt, particularly in the final 3 minutes, where she seemed to exploit the Fever's defense at will. The Sparks, despite their 6-13 record after the win, have always matched up well against the Fever, dating back to last season. Their physicality and intensity exposed Indiana's vulnerabilities, especially without Clark's ability to stretch the floor and create open looks. Speaking of Clark, her absence was the elephant in the room. The narrative that the Fever are better without their superstar rookie was thoroughly debunked in this game. Analysts who push that theory, looking at you, ESPN, should be eating their words. The Fever's offense lacked its usual flow, and their late-game execution suffered without Clark's clutch scoring and playmaking. With her on the court, this game likely would have been a comfortable win. Instead, the Fever were forced to rely on grit and determination.
Things that go into that. At the end of the day, we got to be more disciplined. I didn't feel like we guarded our yard very well. I felt like we had times where we got them going the direction that we wanted to, and we bailed them out by fouling. But they did a good job of continuing to just put their head down and attack us and force us into those fouls.
Which nearly got them there, but couldn't overcome the combination of missed shots and biased officiating. When Clark returns, this team will be a legitimate championship contender, especially with the defensive intensity and chemistry they've developed. Sophie Cunningham deserves special mention for her role as the team's enforcer. All season, she's been the one stepping up to protect teammates like Clark, who has faced physical play bordering on excessive from opponents. Cunningham's toughness and willingness to mix it up have made her a target for refs and opponents alike. The face grab incident wasn't just a bad call. It was a failure to protect a player who puts her body on the line for her team. The fact that she smiled and laughed it off afterward speaks to her resilience, but it doesn't excuse the ref's negligence. The WNBA's officiating standards have hit a new low when a player can be grabbed around the neck and faced with no consequences, while a clean defensive play requires a 5-minute debate. The Fever's 9-9 record doesn't tell the full story. They're 9-9 against their opponents, but feel like 10-9 against the refs, who seem determined to make every game an uphill battle. This loss to the Sparks, a team they should have beaten handily, was a missed opportunity to build momentum.
Sydney Colson, man, shout out to her, dog. I can't overlook her. 6 points, 5 assists, 2 rebounds with that intelligence.
The Fever have shown they can compete with the league's best, as evidenced by their Commissioner's Cup win, but they can't afford to keep losing winnable games due to officiating inconsistencies. The playoffs are still within reach, and with Clark's return, this team has the potential to go deep. Boston and Howard provide a dominant front court, Cunningham brings the grit, and players like Colson, when she's not unfairly penalized, make winning plays. The WNBA needs to take a hard look at its officiating. The selective enforcement, ignoring dangerous plays like the Cunningham incident while over-scrutinizing clean defense, sends a terrible message. It puts players at risk and erodes fan trust. Social media was ablaze after the game, with fans and analysts alike calling out the ref's bias. The league's credibility is on the line when games are decided not by talent and effort, but by inconsistent whistles. The Fever, to their credit, refuse to be victims. They've shown the heart of a championship team, battling through adversity and building something special. When Clark returns, paired with Cunningham's tenacity and the team's growing chemistry, they'll be ready to take on anyone, opponents and officials alike. Coach White's post-game comments about discipline and guarding their yard were a call to arms, but the real accountability needs to come from the league. Referees must be held to a higher standard, with clear consequences for failing to protect players and enforce rules fairly. Until that happens, teams like the Fever will face an unfair fight every night. But this squad has proven they're up for the challenge. The playoffs are coming and the Fever are ready to make noise, refs be damned.
And we talk about this. We are circled on everybody's schedule. Everyone, no one likes us, right? So everyone in our locker room, that's the only type of people that we have that we can lean on. And we got to be better in that area. We have got to stay disciplined. We have to stay focused. We need to get consistent, and we got to lean on each other. And I think that we've kind of wavered a little bit on that. We have our own islands, but as one of the leaders on the team, I got to do a better job of grouping people, right? In the fourth.